Recording. Oh. I'm going to continue. It gives me an option to leave meeting.
Oh, really? You ain't going anywhere.
I don't want to be recorded.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how we are starting this podcast. Just with that little itty bitty. This is the PJ and Clay experience, and you are getting the full experience. Episode number 9 coming at you. To my left, my good friend at 17 POOJ. I am Captain Obvious. That is obvious with a 5. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? We are now on YouTube. So we do have all of our pretty faces for 2 full hours on the YouTube episodes. Episode 8 is up and live. The rest of the episodes will get there soonish. Don't hold me to it. PJ, hit me with a timestamp, my friend.
Good evening. Happy Thursday, May 20th, 2021. Yeah. An improved day. This week had some funky weather going on. We had about 10 inches of snow that dropped down on our fair Edmonton this week. So it's bookended by a Monday that had 20s. My wife got sunburned and should end with us being in the 20s again on Sunday. And then in the middle, massive snowstorm.
And 2 days of full rain too. Don't forget that.
Oh yeah. But being as old as I am, we need the rain.
Edmonton needs the moisture.
Couple of things going on, obviously, and we will inundate you many times with the hockey playoffs that are going on right now. My heart is full when I see 4 games on the docket of wonderful hockey. So that's great. That's happening right now. Kids are back in school next week. So they've announced that, which is pretty cool. I enjoy that. And again, I know it's polarizing. Some of you don't get it. I mean, if I were to look at it just as a stats piece, I probably don't get it either. But they're back in school and I'm happy about that. And then I just wanted to not even start a debate. Just you and I, the reason we have a podcast is to go, hey, we're regular, below average, knowledge wise, talking about the world, right? And so we just a couple regular guys and just letting you know that we're thinking the same things you guys think about sometimes. And so what's Bill C-10? So I don't want to get into the minutia of Bill C-10. I don't want to, get really into the detail, but it's a big thing.
PJ, would that be manouche?
A manouche.
The manouche?
No, I don't. Not now, Clay. Let me have a couple of spices. So Bill C-10 is about, for one half, it's about censorship. And for the other half, it's about protecting and supporting Canadian artists and their rights. Correct. And so this bill is about having Netflix or Amazon Prime come into your home, for example, and have a certain amount of Canadian content, or paying towards the CRTC, or just being governed the same way we govern with the CRTC about Canadian content on our radio stations and things like that. So I know you have something to say. It looks like that, Clay, that you have something to say about it. But the other piece is that something has to happen, right? Bill C-10 might not be the right answer, but we haven't updated some of these things since 1991, before the internet was really a thing. Yeah. And so a lot of our current legislature is outdated. And so we do need something to talk about, something about how we govern, police, support Canadian art, all that kind of stuff. Bill C-10 might not be that answer, or it might be, I'm not sure, but that's what Bill C-10 is about. When you hear that and you're going, our tendency sometimes is to fly off the handle. Bill C-10, oh, well, I heard it's censoring us. Well, it might, in a way. It might limit our websites that we have access to or how we access them. And then I certainly don't want that to happen, but it's not like pure censorship. right? In that authoritarian kind of way.
And I think that's exactly right. And when this actually first came out, PJ, the uproar against Bill C-10 was so massive all over Twitter, all over Instagram, all over all of the social media. And it's going to affect all of your social medias. Don't kid yourselves. It's also going to affect the YouTube that you watch too. Thank God we're Canadian content, because that may be a bonus. Just saying.
Well,
a bonus for who? Anyway, I don't know where it's going. You're right. This is something that's being laid out. It's not finalized by any means. Who knows where this government is going with this, but something does need to be structured, because as the internet has taken over a majority of our lives and our viewership, I don't have cable. My children don't watch cable. They watch the internet. So yes, there does need to be some kind of legislation of what goes on. And trust me, there's going to be a lot of flame back. And whether our listeners agree or disagree, and please let us know, because having a conversation is part of the whole thing. I need to be more intelligent and informed about what BC10 holds, but I don't think this is the end all. I think that this is going to be morphed even more as they talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely, Clay. And so I don't pretend to be an educator on this or educated on this. I just, it's interesting. You think about these things and there's lots of discussions about these things. I have some very opinionated people in my life that forces me to read some of these things, but lots of us don't have time. So obviously come to the PJ and Clay experience for all the education you need.
It may not be the best education, ladies and gentlemen,
No,
but we will attempt to educate.
All right. We got some shout outs.
Let's hit the shout outs right now, my friend. Do it.
Yeah, let's do some shout outs. There's lots, which means we have at least double the following. So last week, I think you clearly stated that we had over 1 million followers.
At least 1 million minimum.
Right. And so, yeah, it's not surprising that we have these shout outs, but I want to just crush through them really quickly. Allana has been giving us the most feedback. It's obvious she hates us the most.
She's she's been the cornerstone to the bromance that we've got going on right now. She's always been there right from day one. Allana's been that woman that has told me that I'm an idiot more than one time. And I've watched her tell PJ that he's an idiot over 1 million times. So she's definitely a cornerstone.
Awesome. Well, she'll be mentioned many, many more times, I'm sure. Brandi Cockbain, love you. Thank you for reaching out to me the other day. Breena Smith. So we had Shane Smith, Hall of Famer, shouted out last week. Breena, the sister, saw her in Safeway. And she went, "What is this thing about a podcast?"
what is this thing you two idiots are doing right now? What is going on?
Jason Borle, I worked with him for a long time, but he's very close to my heart. So
if you know Borle, then you know.
Right. Kiki, you stupid son of a bitch. Awesome to hear from you the other day, and looking forward to talking to you a lot. Made me realize I like your dad a lot more than I like you, so that's great. Anna Rosenhart. She showed me a picture of her maybe listening. I'm not sure if she was or not, or if she just had the insignia up, but that's great.
Love the insignia.
And then I told Pam, I said, "Hey, listen, Pam, I'm not going to give you a shout out until you give me feedback." But you know what? She said she's going to listen with her wonderful man, Derek. Derek, big shout out to you as well. Fellow hockey player. Enjoy the Derek. And those are our shout outs.
Spectacular. Thank you very much. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, we launched the YouTube channel and we've got over 10 views already. And I think most of them was my mom, just making sure that I wasn't being an
Wilma!
ass. Oh, Wilma, thanks very much. We love you, Ma. And we appreciate that. Our downloads have increased again. They've doubled. What's going on out there is actually blowing our minds. And that actually means we've got a bunch of bots following us, or we're doing something that is half-ass entertaining. And that is the bottom line. And that's all we care about. So this is just two buddies getting together, shooting the shit, showing how stupid we are at times. PJ, why don't you show us just how dumb we are with the reckoning?
Oh, the reckoning. I literally spend my entire week filling this list. So the reckoning being a bit of our blooper reel. We talk about last week and just all of the misinformation that we spread. So I'll start with you this time, Clay. You, again, most of your stuff is just making up words and things like that. So
that's going to be the first thing that I put on our shirt, the PJ and Clay experience. Captain Obvious makes up words.
One of those words was trinkle. So you wanted something that I don't know if you wanted something to trickle in, or you had a bell tinkling, or you had a sprinkle. I think it was a sprinkle, actually. Anyway, you had things trinkling, and so congratulations.
Trinkle.
No one, you ruined that whole segment. I imagine you have no idea. You're constantly forgetting this segment, so congratulations on remembering that. Forgot it for two episodes in a row. You started the show off with a hit right off the hop. You said, I hope everyone's ready and Weddy. Weddy, again, being a 3-year-old saying ready. That's the second 3-year-old reference you've gotten.
So this is what happens when you prep for the podcast and you're 3 beverages in, and your beverages happen to be straight bourbon.
And I'm 2 hours late.
Yeah. And PJ's on PJ time, as we all know what PJ time is. So I'm sitting there drinking. I'm a half a bottle in, waiting for the guy to fucking show up.
And then the last one, when people kind of, go off the cuff a little bit, they go willy-nilly.
Free Willy?
Pretty willy-nilly. But you called it Free Willy, which, again, that's a whale show. Not sure what you're talking about there, but it didn't make sense. That's for sure.
I have no excuses.
I didn't know where Subban played, and that's even though I don't really like the guy,
he's kind of a big deal.
Well, you know what? And I want to kind of say with PK Subban, I've heard stories from guys that play in the NHL in the show. Not really lots of kind words said about him, but man, oh man, does he do a lot for the communities that he plays in. He is a crazy philanthropist. And so I don't want to downplay that piece.
Agreed.
He might not be popular amongst his peers, but he sure does donate time and money in bucket loads to his charities and things like that. So that's good. I also screwed up Kopitar again. I can't get it right. So I pulled out the website because I really want to make sure that I get it right. He's from Slovenia, first Slovenian to reach 1,000 points in the NHL. What's cool about this guy is he was drafted in the first round by the LA Kings. So he's been with the LA Kings the whole entire time. We always say Canadians are classy for that, right? Yzerman, Sakic with the same organization, although cities moved. We always say that, and then I just think we forget to talk about it when we talk about a guy like Kopitar, who's just a class act. So bucket loads of points, 2 Stanley Cups, a 2-time Selke winner, a 1-time Lady Byng winner. This guy is a stud.
No, class act for sure. 100%.
And the captain, right, as well. So yeah. I think that's the coolest thing. And so Kopitar, I wanted to give you a shout out in the proper way instead of always being on the reckoning.
Agreed. Props.
And then the crib hand that I had, 28. I got a dealt, cut 5, king 5-5 in my hand, 28 points. Gorgeous. I said, hey, listen, I think it should count. But it doesn't. So I just want to be very clear on that it doesn't, because I didn't peg the peg, that I didn't move my pegs.
So it didn't happen.
It didn't happen, although I did take a picture.
I was just going to ask, did you take a screenshot?
I did. I took a picture, and I also really want to compare it to, let's say, getting a hole-in-one on the pitch and putt instead of a real golf course. Hey, it's still a hole-in-one, all right? Listen here, all you doubters, all you haters, all you people that want to get on my... It's a 28 dealt cut finished.
Can I ask a dumb question?
Sure.
29, is that not the max hand?
That is. That's
so you didn't get a hole in one. You got an albatross.
Oh fuck. Do you know that I have a hole in one? I'm gonna start like my buddy made this beautiful thing for me. It's a great story. Anyway, we'll talk about it.
Put it on the shelf.
There you go.
PJ's hole in one going on the shelf for an episode in the future. Along with we're going to have an episode called Strictly the Shelf. Off the shelf comes a story that we've put on the shelf. PJ's hole in one. How long ago was this?
Probably 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay. And who did I contact just to clarify that this was actually legit?
Michael Palat. You know Michael?
All right. Oh, very good job, PJ. Thanks for running through all of our deficiencies and stupidity. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? More will come. And you know what we're going to start doing? We may start actually doing a contest. Once we build our shirt, because a shirt is coming. It's in the works right now. Once we build a shirt, whoever can find the most deficiencies in our 2-hour show will receive a special PJ and Clay Experience dumbass shirt.
I'm not going to make it easy. I'm going to make a lot of mistakes.
All of mistakes. I think that I just came up with a brainwave. That's going to happen. That's going on the shelf. Shirt contest. Spectacular. Good. Okay, let's move on. Ladies and gentlemen, you came here not to listen to our stupid ramble, but to listen to the rest of the podcast. Running down the topics today, we're going to be talking about the hood or 40-something. This is where PJ and I discuss being old AF and having children, going through life, dealing with who we are, with our bodies, with our children, and with our significant others. PJ being the only one that has said significant other. Then we're going to move on to the hospitality, Gene, where we talk about the service industry in all walks of life. Doesn't matter what industry you are in. Every single industry has a quotient of the service industry. And after that, the biggest and deepest section of them all, the code, where we trinkle a little sports on top.
Good for you.
And then drop the bomb on all the NHL talk, especially when we go into the playoffs. So let's hit it off real quick here. PJ, we're talking the hood 40-something. My friend, hit me up with the health tip of the week.
Health tip of the week. Let's talk about, and I'll let you know right now. The size doesn't matter. Go with your gut. You know what is going on out there, right? And you know what's healthy. You know healthy choices. You know you should go for a walk every night. You know you should get out and be active with your mind and your body. You know all this stuff. But yet when it comes down to it and you're questioned about it and mostly questioning yourself, you go, oh, well, I don't really know. I don't, or I know that, but it's, I don't know that. And so I would say that the internet or the fads that are out there don't help this, because you got all these things that say, oh yeah, if you squeeze a mosquito and drop it in your ear, it's like this unbelievable thing that happens to your toenails. And you're like, what are you talking about right now? So there are a lot of things out there, but I really want to make sure that you stick with the basics. My last health of the tip of the week last week was about sticking to the basics. This one is about it too. you know in your gut, and I've got a substantial gut that I can talk about this. Trust your gut instincts. And you know that lettuce is healthy. Eat a salad once in a while.
Eat a goddamn salad.
Eat a goddamn salad. And so that's my health tip of the week. You know what's right. You know that you shouldn't be eating a full chocolate bar at midnight. And I'm not saying you can't do that every once in a while. All I'm saying is, you know, so listen to yourself and make action plans around what you know a ton, especially if you're 40 something like me, but we all know what's healthy. We all know how to lose weight in incremental steps. Stop eating as much or eat a salad or whatever that is. Is it easy? I'm not saying that. Not saying that. Do not think I'm saying it's easy. All I'm saying is that you know.
PJ, somebody told me once that life wasn't easy. Guess what? This is part of life. This is part of where we are right now in our age and growing older. And PJ mentioned this a few weeks ago. He wants to be able to have the energy, have the athleticism to go and kick the ball or throw the ball with his son. Well, I bet you all want that too. And I guess the biggest situation is, and I was a huge fail in this last 12 months, 14 months of being in quarantine. The kid's belly rose so big, I had to buy new pants. It's not fun. But
you eat like a bird.
I do eat like a bird, except when it comes to eating after 9 o'clock towards midnight, drinking all the beer that I could actually get my hands on. Like, you're picking all of the wrong things. Why couldn't I find a cucumber, cut that up, and maybe have little cucumber chips? That might be good. Maybe, hey? No, I need Doritos. I don't need a small bag of Doritos. I want the big family bag of Doritos. Give me the big one. So but the time is now. Don't worry about what you did yesterday. Don't worry about what you did today. How about you wake up in the morning and you make that plan for yourself? You make that promise to yourself that this is the time that you're actually going to sit down and say, okay, here we go. Baby steps. I'm going to have this many good foods and I'm going to give myself a treat later, but I'm not going to eat after 9 o'clock. And I'm going to drink. How many bottles of water should we be drinking, Peach?
We should be drinking 3 liters.
3 liters of water. Make that your goal for the day. It's a nice small goal. And once you accomplish that, then you can move on. I like it. Great tip. Anything you want to add there, Peach?
No, I mean, I can always add things because I'm a talker, damn it. But, you know, I think that when people do things good for themselves and they change their diet and they go, man, I don't know if I want to, or I don't know if I can stick to it, whatever that thing is, it's usually not the actual eating of the salad or it's just human nature. We don't like change and we'll fight it and resist it. And so when you eat that salad, know that it's not that you don't like the salad or you're like, this is just not worth it. It's just that you change something in your brain just goes, I don't like change. Humbug. I'm going back to I've been craving KFC lately, so I'm going back to a bucket of chicken.
And there it is right there. It's not just that craving, but it's also the ease of, right? If you want to go home and cut up a bunch of lettuce, cut up a bunch of vegetables, mix it all together and make yourself a salad, it's time consuming. It's delicious. It's time consuming. If you want a bucket of chicken, this is also delicious. You go get it, or you skip the dishes it. We're being lazy and we need to just step out of that lazy mode. And I think that's going to be one way that we can do it is start working for your food. Put a little work in.
Awesome. Trust your big fat gut. PJ.
Don't let it grow anymore. Okay, so I've got a little story. A little something happened today. Well, actually started last night. So my daughter...
I just want to give a caveat quickly to our audience.
Please do.
This is the first time I'm hearing this. I'm like, save it for the podcast. This is live, folks.
This is a good story. Oh, it's so good right now. Okay, so last night I get a text from my daughter. She's going on 17 years old, and I've had a car waiting for her for when she gets her driver's license. And I think she's the actual first teenager in the history of teenagers that had a car waiting for her that hasn't gotten her driver's license. And so we take her driving all the time. And the weather being in Edmonton during the winter is super nasty. Driving during the snow, she doesn't want to do it, or she forgets her glasses, or she wants to spend time with her friends, or she's a teenager. Hey, take your time. You do you. I'll just keep driving your car. So we get to a point last night. I've got her lessons, and she had to do it within 30 days. Because if she didn't finish her driving lessons within 30 days, then she had to pay me $748, the fee of the driver's lessons. So she crushes the modules. Then she goes through all of the driving classes with the instructor. Amazing. The instructor says, "Okay, we're on our 4th. Book your appointment." She says, "What? Book your appointment." Okay. So she books her appointment for May the 20th.
Today.
I get my phone call at 11 p.m., May 19th. Dad, I can't sleep. I need to go driving tomorrow morning because I need to practice more. Like, of course you do. No problem. So we wake up at 7. We go get a coffee. We go for a nice 2-hour drive, giving her little tips, just saying, okay, how do you feel about you're doing this? Okay, I'm good at that. No problem. Excellent. What do you think about this? No, I'm okay with that. Well, what about this? No, let's keep doing that. Perfect. So we're going through the little things that she knows that she has to work on, or she knows she's not confident in, which is awesome. 2 hours later, we're great. She's got class that's starting online, so she's got to get back home. We turn around, we start heading back home. We're 5 minutes from her house, having a great conversation. All of a sudden, boom, she hits.
Come on.
Not a person. God, that would have been a bigger story. No, she hits one of those stupid divots in these Edmonton roads. You know the ones I'm talking about? Yeah. The one that, you know, could take out an ankle if you walk on it. Blows the tire. So the tire's going down. It's wobbling. I'm like, okay, yep, this is going to be interesting. This is lesson number 2. We're going to change a tire. Pull off over here. So she pulls off. Clay in my head. How much is this going to cost me? How much is this going to cost me? To Jade. Okay, so if you ever need to change a tire, this is where we find your tire. This is where we find the jack. This is going to be her car anyway. She needs to know this stuff, right?
Totally.
So we are in there in the Save On parking lot, changing a tire on my knees. This is where you place the jack. This is how you get this off.
Can I say,
please, that
I've changed a lot of flat tires?
Do you remember the first tire you changed with me?
Oh man.
Let's not have that conversation.
Okay. That's on the shelf.
No, that doesn't even go on the shelf. That goes in the vault.
So anyway, I just want to recognize the people that write the pages in the book on flat tire changing. If you follow them step by step, it's pretty easy.
What a concept.
And that's not easy to do though, to explain changing a tire to someone in a book. Yep. They're unbelievable. I just want to give a shout out to those people.
Absolutely.
Excellent. It's an excellent job.
Ladies and gentlemen, please read your instructions whenever you have a difficult problem, especially if it comes from any store and you have to build that object. Anyway, so we got it done. The donut's on the car. She goes, Dad, you're driving. I'm like, no, I'm not. You're finishing this drive. You're driving home. So she's got the donut. I'm like, you can't go over 50 now. So she's putting through the residential zone and she's swerving through all of the divots.
Oh yeah.
Back and forth. I'm like, awesome. She'll never hit another pothole again in her life. The funniest thing when she said, when we hit the pothole, she goes, Dad, I tried to miss it. I'm like, no, you didn't even try a little bit. Like there was no swerve. There was no nothing. It was full on 70K. Boom.
So I have to ask though, because the tires are pretty good these days. Did she borrow your big wheel? Like what? How? Like
Well,
how does she get a flat tire?
you know, the coolest dad in the world, I buy her a car with low profile rims because I'm that guy.
Right.
Right. So that was one of the smartest moves I've ever made. We won't do that with Jordan when she finally turns 16. So we get her home. Everything's great. But now I know I have to work in 2 hours. So I'm on the phone. Okay, I need this tire fixed because I know she's going to get her driver's license later on in the day. And this is going to become her car. So I rush off, shit shower, shave, drive the car, drop it off at the tire place, and go and do my shift. $155 later, which wasn't bad because Clay brought out the intelligent side for once, and I still had the winter tires on. So I brought the summer tires with me and said, hey, just do me a favor. Put on the summer tires. And what she actually did when she hit that pothole, she just separated enough that enough air lost. So she didn't blow the tire. The tire is saved. Her winter tires are good for next year. Long story short, and a perfect ending to a perfect day. She had her driving test, got her driver's license. She is now good to go. She just showed up at my house, which was the coolest thing ever. When your daughter shows up at your place, hi, I just came over to hang out with dad. I'm like, amazing. So that's living in the hood with Clay.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm so proud of Jade. I wish that story included that you were like, no, you changed the tire.
Didn't have a whole lot of time for that. Nor did I want to put pressure on her either. Knowing the time restraint, had to get back for school. Yeah,
she's going to be a great driver.
She is a great driver, and she's always been that person, right? She's very astute of her surroundings, understandable of adults and children and people, and accepting. And that's she's a special one. So I'm very grateful to have a daughter like that for sure.
Kiki, take notes. Maggie needs these notes.
Well, I hope that helps out with anybody else. And I hope if any of you adults out there don't know how to change a tire, you better learn before your child turns 16, because you'll be the one out there changing that tire. Okay, another big thing I want to tack on. The big girl that got her license gets her vaccine tomorrow. Pfizer is booked at 11 o'clock. So she's in and will be vaccinated. So cool that now we've got our high school kids getting vaccinated. The light is at the end of the tunnel, and we talk about our vaccinations and whatnot. Canada right now in first vaccinations is actually further ahead than the US. The US
just passed them today, right?
Just passed them today. The US is further ahead in full vaccinations, which is fine. But the fact that we went from 0 to 100 as quick as we have is pretty great. So I just want to give a shout out to everybody out there getting their vaccinations.
I'll be a little bit of a Debbie Downer because I'm a math guy.
Okay, do that.
Well, we moved ahead of the States, but they have like 150 million people vaccinated. We have.
Yeah, but it's all about percentages.
Just saying. Did you? And it relates a little bit to playoff hockey, or a lot to playoff hockey.
Yep.
Man, those crowds in the States.
Oh God. Yeah.
Rocking.
Okay. We're leaving that to the code.
I know, but they're rocking.
Right now. I want that so badly right now. Okay. Hospitality gene. We're moving on, and we're going to be talking about in the hospitality gene is what I want for all people, owners, managers in any service industry. I want you to be genuine. I want you to approach your guests and your clients, your partners and your staff with authenticity. Be that person. When you have the conversation, tell them the truth at all times. Be happy to see them. If you're talking to a client that walks in the door, they know when you're bullshitting you. Stop faking it. If you don't enjoy what you're doing as an owner, as a businessman, as a manager, as an employee, it's time for you to leave. Go find what makes you happy. Because the people that are walking through that front door, they can see if you're bullshitting them, and they know right away, especially if you're in the sales. If you're in car sales and you're BSing somebody, they can tell. Don't kid yourself. Be genuine. Have the person's best interest at heart, and you will make a client for life. Have the best interest at heart, be genuine, and you're going to have a guest for life. You're going to have that regular in your establishment every single time. I want you to be genuine when you go through your process. And if you can't be genuine, you can't fake it till you make it. You can only do that for so long. People
It'll
start
make
to
you very unhappy.
Extremely unhappy. And then we talk about depression. Then you have to listen to my other podcast where I do talk about depression. And that's An Obvious Voice with Captain Obvious. Check that out on Apple Podcasts. So that's all I wanted to say in the hospitality, Gene. Just be genuine. I want you to not fake it. Be the person and be happy where you are. And if you're not happy, it's time to change.
Well, and so, I mean, we talk about this a lot, Clay. I talk a lot about, because I've went years and years and I've tried to nail down some values of mine, or things that really matter in the crunch. And now that I have people that work with me listening to the podcast, I want to make sure that I'm careful that I don't like under deliver and over promise and all that kind of stuff, right? But
nobody listens to me. I'm okay.
One of my values is authenticity, because I don't believe in the fake it or the distrust or that happens when you're not authentic. People just start not trusting you. That's a huge thing in itself. And when I talk about it, I talk a lot about management of people and your people and things like that. So anyway, what you said, which really grinds my gears, is that when people that are in the service industry of any sort underestimate their customer and don't think they know what's going on, sometimes I get a really good server that is just not enjoying their experience, whether it's outside, the outside environment, boyfriend's mean, lost, there's a lot of things that can bother us.
Yeah.
But when they bring that to the table and they think that, hey, I put a smile on and I'm a really good server, I can still feel that they hate being there at that time. And so that screams authenticity. Can you put yourself in a place while you're at work, because work is a grind in every job? Can you put yourself in a good place for your people, for your members or customers, all of that kind of stuff? So authenticity is a big piece. And I don't know, I could talk for days on this, but I think that it's really important that we talk about that the customer knows when you're not being authentic.
100%.
As stupid as you think they are.
It's, you've been in that business every single day, 365 days for who knows how many years. You're basically going through the motions. This person is meeting you for the first time, walking in your establishment for the very first time with fresh eyes. They are seeing every single issue, every single problem, every single little dirt that's on the ground. If you think that you can just skate your way through a business, you're kidding yourself. Your clients, your guests, and the people that are paying you money for your service, they see this.
Yeah, bang on, Clay. And so it's not about anything except that Clay and I just talked about it right before we went into this segment, which was, it's interesting because usually it's an employer's market or it's an employee's market. And they're great for different reasons, right? But right now we're in this kind of really wild balance of it's an employer's market and it's an employee's market. There's lots of jobs out there, just find what you want to do a little bit. Like take some, do the work because you have an opportunity to do that. Sometimes it's not as easy as that. So do your work, understand if you want to deal with people or not.
This is a perfect opportunity for a lot of people. If you really look at it during this lockdown or many lockdowns all across the world, like these last 14 months, if you were not able to go to work, this was a perfect opportunity for you that did not enjoy your work to find other place of employment or go back to school or find what makes you happy. This was a perfect opportunity for you to not go back to the place that you hate, right? Because there's a lot of people that are unemployed out there, and there's a lot of employers that are looking for the diamond in the rough because they're not just going to hire the random person that walks through the door. No, they want the best of the best too. So make sure that you know what you want and you be who they're looking for.
Yeah. It's going to be a crazy world when we start opening up, right?
Big time. And that's going to be happening within the next month, right? Who knows if it'll be in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or 4 weeks. Before summer opens up, there's going to be a massive hiring everywhere. Be prepared as managers and owners and as potential employees. Both of you, you know, you're on notice. Get ready. Okay. One more thing. And speaking with that, I just wanted to add, if you want to move up in the place of employment that you're at, instead of bitching about a timeline about, you know, I've been here for 5 years and I haven't been promoted, or I haven't, you know, been given a raise, or I haven't been doing anything, I'm stagnant. Well, there's a couple things that you can do. One, you can train yourself to be better. Two, you can train your replacement. And now a lot of people look at that and say, Clay, if you train your replacement, then you're replaceable and you're going to get let go. No, if you train your replacement, then they know that you're worthy of moving on to a higher level. You're getting to that place in the company where you are now someone they want on board as a higher manager. Plus, when you train your replacement, they don't have to find anybody. They slide that person directly into your role, and then they promote you. Think about that concept right there. A lot of times you're not getting promoted because they don't have anybody to replace you with. If you put in the time and the hours and the knowledge to train that person to take your spot, you've now made yourself irreplaceable and promotable. So do what's best for you, and you're going to get higher up in the company that you're working for.
Yeah. It all speaks to, if you want to be promoted, or if you want to move up in a company, or if you just want to move up in knowledge or roles and responsibilities, all that kind of stuff. It's good or necessary to have that replacement, but it also shows your senior group that you think bigger picture. And that's a really difficult thing to realize until you have some experience in failing and succeeding in this, is that your senior team is looking for you to look at things bigger picture than just the schedule or just the blinders on horses and seeing the business this way and seeing it in a broader, bigger picture, that sometimes necessitates different conversations. Absolutely. with your employees. So
take the initiative, do what's best for you, and you'll get what you want in the long run.
And usually that's best for the company, damn it.
100% it is. 100%. Okay, guys, moving on. We've done a history of drinks all the way through, and I'm very excited to talk about the history of the Bernstein. Now, if you know about the Bernstein, then you
don't
know.
Google it.
Don't Google it. This is something that has been made up in Edmonton circa 2001 on Jasper Avenue at the Joey Mediterranean Grill, as it was called at said time. This was before their big changeover. This was a drink that was manipulated and brought together for some odd reason. The Bernstein, let me tell you how it's actually made. You're going to take a B52 shot, Bailey's, Grand Marnier, and Kahlua, a third of each. Then you're going to take an ounce of Jameson's whiskey, Irish whiskey. If you need to find some Irish mist, then I guess you can use that. Jameson's is always key. So an ounce of B52 shot, an ounce of Jameson's, and then an ounce of piping hot espresso. You want that espresso shot. You're going to take your 2 ounces of liquor.
Not coffee.
No, coffee won't work. You need that kick-ass shot of espresso. You take your 2 ounces, pour it into the glass. You take your hot espresso, pour it into the same glass. You cheers your partner, tap your glass, and you drink it back. This Bernstein was originated at the Joey Tomatoes Mediterranean Grill, which is now just Joey's on Jasper Ave, in 2001, and was passed along, so much so that I had somebody in Kelowna come in and ask for a Bernstein at one time. I'm like,
so much so that it was on their menu.
Get out of town. I did not know that. They put that on their menu?
Yeah.
Wow.
They absolutely did.
That is spectacular. I had no idea. I'm beaming. So if you don't know, the two ass clowns that you're listening to are the two gentlemen.
Listen, we don't want to take credit for their Bernstein because it's pretty much the same. I think there's some minor differences. The major difference is it's like very light on booze.
Of course it is. Bar cost.
Right. So anyway, though, that I didn't know that you didn't know that.
I did not know that. I'm flabbergasted.
It hit their menu.
I wonder, was that just that location that had that on their menu? Like, was that one of those things that they did?
No, I think I checked a couple different locations and I think it was on there.
I got to talk to Joanna tomorrow about that.
But they were missing the story, which is crazy.
I cannot. Yeah, that is a conversation that needs to be had tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't need any credit ever, but I have a bit of some Edmontonians, some dumb Edmontonians, like something.
We were a staple on that bar for the longest time. That was a good 3-year run before I moved to Lethbridge that we pre-gamed, post-gamed, off-gamed, had Thanksgiving at. Do you remember our Thanksgiving dinner that you and I had alone at that place?
Yeah.
That was gross.
I remember that, and I remember April Fool's Day.
April Fool's Day. Lots of fun. We've actually got some great stories, and we're going to get into our Joey stories at one point in time. And one of them includes using bell peppers, carving jack-o'-lanterns into bell peppers and putting them on all of the lamps.
Replacing the lampshades.
This is 20 years ago, so you can't come after us. What is that word that they use when the time has gone by and you're clear of all wrongdoing?
Oh man, for sure there's a word, but I'm not even...
Put that on the reckoning.
Breena, our shout out to Breena, she would know when there's a statute of limitations or something like
statute of limitations. There you go.
No, but it's called something different in Canada. We don't like to steal jargon. We like to make our own confusing jargon.
So if you want to make a Bernstein, this is what you do. You go find yourself a hot ounce of espresso, Jameson's whiskey, Bailey's, Kahlua, Grand Marnier, a third of each of those. Add those 2 ounces of liquor complete with the ounce of espresso. Cheers your friend, loved one, partner, buddy. Tap your glass.
Always warn them. Hey, remember this is hot.
Because it is hot. That espresso is piping hot. But don't try and go to sleep after.
Yeah, and then obviously espresso and booze, like no joke. That's a good night.
It's always a great pregame. That's it for the hospitality, Gene. We are now moving on to the thick of the thick. This is the place where we get right into it. the code. This is where we talk about sports, especially hockey, but we are going to talk a little bit about the NBA. PJ, hit me up with what's going on in the NBA today.
Hall of Fame inductees. A lot of you may or may not have seen it, but Kobe's wife was just an incredible, like, I cry when I talk to my child sometimes because I'm so proud and so emotional. And like, oh,
I had that today.
Make your bed. Right. So like, I'm an emotional guy. If you saw me at my wedding, for example, I say a speech and it's like ducks open up. So anyway, Kobe's wife, she is just.
Are you gonna make it through this? Are you gonna be okay?
Wow, it's just so freaking awesome. She gets through his Hall of Fame speech and she says a lot of things that are super emotional and like, oh, I couldn't even imagine how tough, or just not how tough, but just how emotional that would be. And she rocked it.
Nice.
Like, just such a cool moment to see where she was unbelievably strong. Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett, also in that class. And I am going to apologize right now because I saw this on a highlight, but an excellent woman basketball player,
WNBA player,
might be a Hall of Fame.
Okay.
Right. With a speech impediment and maybe a hearing impediment. Her speech was unbelievable. Powerful. It was so cool. And so I apologize from the bottom of my heart that I didn't prep properly for the show to have her name. I'm just rereading my notes because I literally probably saw it and was like, oh my gosh, Hall of Fame, remember it. And
so here's a question for you. We know the Hockey Hall of Fame embraces all hockey, international hockey, women's hockey, builders, yada, yada, yada. The Hall of Fame that you just watched, was that strictly an NBA Hall of Fame, or do they incorporate international basketball as well as builders and females?
That's a long question for I have no idea.
Okay, good. So let's put that on the shelf.
Why don't we learn about that? Thanks for putting me on the spot, Clay.
Hey, no problem.
I don't know the history of the Hall of Fame for basketball.
Basketball Hall of Fame.
Although I believe it is Canadian.
Okay, now we're moving on.
All right.
So do you want to go into hockey, or is there another sports thing you want to talk about? Hint, PGA has their championship this weekend.
Yeah. So we have our favorites, but again,
I threw that out to you. I'm sorry. I
don't even know how, but not even no, sorry. I do know how. He's awesome, but Corey Connors is in the top again. I don't know how he finished. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I don't know how he finished, but Corey Connors is a stud.
So he's leading right now, Thursday, May the 20th. That's
-4,
-5. He's leading -5. Bradley is -3. Hovland -3. Kopka -3, and Weiss -3. So Connors is -5 right now after today.
Boom. So awesome. Like, he's just such a cool watch. Like,
so we will,
Canadian, man. It's awesome.
We will recap that next Thursday when we go back in. So hopefully Connors can make it. Maybe we can sprinkle a little bet on that with our parlay on Saturday. Something to think about.
The only other thing I wanted to mention was the NBA play-in. So, and how weird it was.
Thank you. Yeah. Oh, and Saturday Night Live. So don't forget about that.
No, I want to skip it because that was put down when I was a little bit wobbly.
It happens time to time. I've been there.
Like, this would be brilliant to talk about.
Don't send this text. Don't send this text. Don't send this text. Fuck. I love you.
Anyway, NBA play-in was unbelievable, and what was crazy is they had 7 and 8 playoff against each other, and 9 and 10
Okay, I
playoff
was going
against
to
each
ask
other,
you
and then
about
the
that.
winners of those games played the next night. Go time, showtime.
Okay, my question to you right now: why would they have the lower 2 teams play off, and then the higher 2 teams play off, and then the winners play off against each other? When you see a mini round robin, you usually see 1v4, 3v2, correct?
Yes.
So,
And so, yeah, that was weird, but it wasn't as weird as having it at all. Teams played and they made 7 or 8. The commitment to get 8th place or 7th place
doesn't matter anymore.
After all those games,
Yep.
You earned it.
Yep.
You know,
That's the way
you shouldn't
tradition
go into
has
a
been.
1-game playoff. So anyway, they're announcing it only for this year because there was a limited amount of games, and it was only for this year. But what happened is you you had Golden State Warriors with Steph Curry, who's the MVP of the league again, crushing, unbelievable. Versus LA Lakers, who just got LeBron and Anthony Davis is healthy. 7, and one of them gets eliminated in 1 game.
2 of the
so
top
Golden State
players.
was out yesterday,
and LeBron made that shot at the end. That was epic.
Incredible. Again. Can't stand LeBron.
He keeps doing LeBron
Such
things.
a good basketball player.
No.
But anyway, it's just a weird format that you would put a whole season into play, finish 7th, and might be kicked out like it happened yesterday of the whole entire thing.
And the same thing happened. Like you talk about the bubble last year with the NHL playoffs and the bubble last year with the NBA playoffs. After we went into lockdown, came out of lockdown, canceled the season, went directly into the playoffs, said, okay, now we're going by percentages. It doesn't matter wins, losses. It's about percentages because every team didn't finish with the same amount of games played. Edmonton goes in and has to play off against Chicago, loses against Chicago. When if they would have played their games, they were rightfully in 5th place. Like they weren't even at the bottom of the division. They were rightfully in a playoff position.
Right.
And had to play a team that was rightfully out of a playoff position, sold off all their assets at the trade deadline. This is no excuse because they played a shitty playoff bubble experience. But going into this one, they knew right from the start that this play-in series was happening. So a lot of these guys that are finishing in 10th and 9th place, they're like, hey, we're in the playoffs. There's a shot to get into the top 8.
Yeah, I think you just said it though. Man, were the Oilers ever brutal in that series?
That play-in round was horrendous. It was so, and it was like the first playoff experience, and they lasted 4 games. Okay, good. So let's move on to playoffs today. Actual playoffs. 1 versus 4 in the North Division. I want to start first, before anything else. I want to talk about the people calling the games before I go into Oiler fans, playoff wows and worries. I want to talk about 2 gentlemen here. Jack Michaels, who is a regional broadcaster with the Edmonton Oilers and does the local games when they go to national broadcasts with 630 Ched. Jack Michaels, we brought in from the States. He's an American. He did a lot of collegiate hockey down in the States, in Alaska mostly, and has a phenomenal call. He has the most exciting voice that I've ever heard. PJ, this was your post, so please take it away with Jack Michaels.
I really enjoy a broadcaster that can tell a story. And so Jack Michaels, off the cuff, all willy-nilly, will tell a great story of the game because he uses words like he spoons it in
with analogies too. Like he'll bring back analogies from like the 80s of something that happened in a movie and work that into his play-by-play. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yamamoto, he screw drives, and it's a perfect word. Like Yamamoto would have screw drived into the ice, did a 180, and would have screw drived out of that move, right? And so it's just a really cool call. And we don't have that quality on the national broadcast.
Here's the problem. When I look at Jack Michaels and his calls, and I think that your description of him during his calls of the plays, it is so one-sided. And I say this in all due respect because he is a regional broadcast. He broadcasts for the Edmonton Oilers. And when I listen to him, I would rather turn off the national broadcast and put him on 150% every single time, no questions asked.
You can listen to 630 Ched on that.
Yeah, 630 Ched. If you want to have any sponsorship, you can email Clay or PJ at pjandclayexperience.com. So, but if I was listening to Chris Cuthbert's call in 2017, 2006, one of the calls they did a callback to one of the Oilers scoring one of the goals. And I don't remember what it was. It doesn't matter. It was an Oilers scoring a goal on home ice. Chris Cuthbert was calling it, and he called it as he would call a national broadcast. And that's the big reason why we don't see Jack Michaels on any of our playoff calls right now, which is a sad state of affairs. I wish that he could adapt to a point where it is more down the middle, but then I'm selfish because I want to keep him to ourselves, because the way that he calls a Connor McDavid goal or the way that he calls an overtime win is the best, most exhilarating 2 minutes that you will ever hear in any broadcast. He is all in, dialed in, amped up, like he had a Bernstein, and he's ready to rock and roll.
And he has signature. He's a good mix of new school and old school, where he has a signature sign off. On the radio, he had one. On TV, he has one. I just think that it's just quality stuff.
Absolutely.
Like his description of the game as a storyteller is great. Is he one-sided? I'm sure he was. That was where his check was coming in.
Absolutely.
Do I think he could adapt or is smart enough to adapt to a national broadcast?
100%.
Absolutely. I just think he's so much better
I
than
think
a lot of his competition, but I wouldn't even call it competition. It's just,
the thing
it's
is
just, I want the best calling the games.
We're going to lose him after this year when he was finally on TV and not on 630 Ched. I think we're going to lose him to one of the big networks. We are going to lose him to whether it goes down to the American stations that have picked him up, TNT or Fox.
Does he have a family?
I'm going to say yes. He's been here for 7-8 years now. Correct?
Yeah.
Close
so
to
that might
right?
be a big thing. I mean, plus, I don't know. There's a lot of things. I just think the best person should get the jobs, and he's the best person right now.
Yep.
He's unbelievable at calling games.
The gentleman that was doing the game saying he's doing a great job too for his first time calling national broadcasts. There's no taking away from him at all. He's done.
Are you talking about Singh?
Yeah, that's what I said. Singh. Yeah.
Oh,
so
okay,
his first couple games were suspect at best, but then he fell into that role very well. And I've got to give him props because I was skeptical on him at the beginning of the season. And then all of a sudden I started to enjoy it a little bit more. Cassie Campbell, I can't handle Cassie Campbell on the play-by-play. That's just one of those situations, and it's not a female-male thing. I believe that her color commentary is very suspect at best.
Well, again, she's very Calgary.
Yeah.
Side.
Which is.
But I mean, and, having said that, Clay, Botterill is doing a great job.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. Okay, moving on. Do we want to talk about our playoff wows and worries, or do we want to talk about Oiler fans and how stressed out they are, even though the winning percentage. Did you put that or did I put that?
You put that.
So you copied that from last week. Okay, so let's look at this right now, and let's take it, especially after the Oilers lose game 1 and the amount of hate and tweets and phone calls that were received after the loss last night in the game was absolutely ridiculous. Like, now I understand that Edmonton may have an alcoholism problem because the amount of bullshit that was spewed from the general public to the post-game radio, as well as the tweets that were being popped up, it blows my mind. We've got a team, a great coach, a great GM with great players that busted their ass and did a great job. PJ, they had the second best wins in regulation in the entire league. Other teams were going to overtime. They don't do that by luck, ladies and gentlemen. So whoever your coach puts in, they're doing that for a reason. Whoever your GM has picked, that was done for a reason. Don't think that you, being the couch, the armchair GM, the keyboard warrior, knows better. Put the bottle down, and maybe it's not time to call in to the radio station after these losses. It's game 1 of the first round. There's lots of hockey left. Stop being an idiot and just enjoy what we are seeing.
Hey, listen, Clay, I get what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. And that's all I'll say about agreeing with you. To disagree with you a bit here. Like, are you on crack? This franchise has failed us year over year over year over year. Sorry, we don't have enough time on the podcast. It's already been extended way too long at points.
Okay, here's the deal.
Year over year over year over year over year.
But that's over. Right now, we're witnessing something great.
When Gregor,
enjoy it.
Who is one of my favorites, Gregor is my boy. And when he says, hey, listen, just celebrate it. Just be happy. It's good. But then when you get a performance like you did in game 1, because I want to make sure the studio audience understand.
Laugh track.
It'll always boo. Oh, boo. But we have to understand the Oilers mentality, the Oilers fan base mentality is not a happy mentality. It's not going to be for a very, very, very long time. And it's not the fans' fault. It's the Oilers' fault.
It's the past. It's history. I understand that you've been, scorned. Is that a word? Tainted, frustrated, betrayed, beaten down, whatever. Make
sure you mention year over year, because it's not they screwed us over for a day.
It's not a decade of darkness. This has been 15 plus years, maybe 2 decades of darkness. I get that. I get all of that. But bringing that up doesn't help anybody. Somebody sent out a message on the radio, said they're going to put up a sign in front of Connor McDavid's house saying how shitty he was in the first game and hoping that that'll make him better for the second game.
You read social media too much.
This was on the radio. This was on the radio. This was a text that came through on the radio.
Social media too much.
Okay, all I'm saying is we need to be better. Like, don't be stupid. Okay, it's one game. Yes, we've had decades and decades of darkness. Oh, that's it. Decades and decades of darkness. That's the new shirt. But the fact of the matter is right now, all of your negativity and bullshit is not going to help anybody out. All you're going to do is put a damper on your day. Guess what? You still got work to do. You still have children to take care of. Put the bottle down and let's just look forward.
I don't know. I just think that, hey, listen, social media is social media. I don't even watch a lot of social media.
I'm forcing you to
watch social media.
You can, because the PJ and Clay experience is now on YouTube.
Right. How do you do that? Do you just put PJ and Clay experience or what?
PJ and Clay experience.
Oh, cool. So anyway, what I'm saying is the Oilers deserve every harsh comment they get, and they deserve better.
Okay.
This year.
Agreed.
Right?
So let's talk about how ridiculously exciting the playoffs have been before the puck dropped last night on the Oilers' first game.
Right.
Because PJ, watching down in the States and seeing 18,000 fans in the stadiums and seeing the overtimes and seeing the hits and seeing the goals. McKinnon scored a hat trick last night. Like, there is some phenomenal hockey going on right now.
Man, it's so awesome.
It's so good.
The hockey, like, and we're on now Thursday, May 20th. And it started when? It started Monday?
Correct.
And
no, it started Saturday night.
Right.
And it was an epic game. The Saturday night Hockey Night in Canada game, Washington versus Boston, was
phenomenal.
It was like you went from the earlier game, average at best, regular season game, and then it's like, and welcome to the playoffs. And it was like the curtain opened, and it was, now we're getting the main event. Like, this is what everybody came for. This is it.
So when you said fans are involved, obviously that's been a huge thing.
Big.
But I mean, Toronto and Montreal were pretty great tonight.
Well, that's a whole different conversation. We'll get into that in a second.
Okay. Well, all I'm saying is, man, it's go time. It's show time. And a lot of the teams are showing their true colors, and it's all impressive.
100%.
Really great.
And it's so much fun. The Florida Tampa series has been electric. We talked about Boston, Washington going back and forth. That's been a great series as well. Vegas and Minnesota has been a great series. Colorado and St. Louis has been a great series. And they're a hard-hitting series. That's going to be a rough series going forward too.
Yeah. So what do we want to do here? Do we want to just go through each series real quick from the last podcast that we had? I feel like, and hey, you can attack me if you think I'm wrong, but I mean, we went Saturday night and then Thursday night. I mean, I feel like I'm an NFL player playing the Thursday night, then this, like the Sunday night into the Thursday night. I'm not well rested. I just.
This is what we're going to talk about. We'll talk about.
Why don't you guide us?
I'm going to guide you right through all this. There's a couple of different players that I want to talk about. I want to talk about the Kadri hit. So that's going to lead us into the Colorado St. Louis series. So let's talk about that right now. Colorado St. Louis.
Colorado St. Louis.
Yeah.
Let's do this. The Avs versus the Blues. We called the Avs in a win. I said 4 to 5 games, which is obviously right. Very vague. I heard a commentator say that picking 6 is super cowardly.
Picking 6 games?
Well, in 6, right?
Yeah.
Whoever in 6 is so cowardly because it's like,
lots of people do it.
Right. And it's so easy though. You
don't want to call the 7 games. You don't want to call the close to a
because
sweep.
you're right if it's 4, 5, or 7.
Yeah. Craps.
Right.
I'm picking 6 all day long on craps.
The hard 6?
Hard 6.
Oh, here we go. Okay. So Colorado, Nashville. Nashville's getting outplayed, outmanned. But what I love watching about Colorado is it's not, and I love the opposite, believe me, but it's not about third or fourth line. Rantanen, McKinnon, and Landeskog are like a weapon.
A big weapon.
Blunt object, can't be damaged, can't be hurt, and will hurt you.
We had this conversation. Do you remember us having this conversation and I brought it forward to you? McDavid or McKinnon?
Yeah, we talked about it. McDavid all day long, including fucking Tuesday,
Right.
including Blur's Day.
Blur's Day is a good day. So you've got Landeskog, Ratnett, and McKinnon, right? Crosby, Draisaitl, and random player they add on the side.
Sure.
That's where the downplay is, because Edmonton doesn't have that depth to put 3 studs on one line. Because as much as I love Nugent Hopkins, Landeskog is a much better player.
Landeskog is the captain of the
Yep.
Colorado Avalanche.
Yep.
And has been for a long time.
He was one of the youngest captains before McDavid became captain.
Right. Anyway, they're amazing. Landeskog, by the way, shout out to that guy. Gordie Howe hat trick plus an assist. Huge.
Yeah, big.
And crushed the guy in the fight.
Do you remember who he fought by chance?
Playing the Blues.
Not that we're Neanderthals at all, and we don't advocate fighting, but there's going to be more talks of fighting here real quick.
I would like to fight Clay.
No, you can't. You're not allowed.
No.
We're virtual.
Public.
Social distancing.
So let's go to let's just go to the series. So we have Colorado Avalanche. Colorado's going to win that. I'm sorry, Colorado Avalanche versus St. Louis Blues. Colorado's probably got that.
They're up 2-0 right now in that series.
Binnington bothers me, by the way. Just letting you know.
Okay. I'll put that on the shelf.
Like, he thinks he's a tough guy. It's so weird.
Did he try and come out and fight?
Non-proven tough guy.
He's trying to be Hextall, but he's not really Hextall.
The big dog and the little dog, where the little dog's like, hey, George, hey, I got him. And he's like, that's Binnington.
Okay, so that series. Now the Kadri hit. Leads with a shoulder, lifts up, connects directly with the head, like literally with the head. There's
no question.
Yeah.
Terrible.
And he's a repeat offender on many occasions.
Has he been punished yet?
No, not that I've seen. Good question.
No,
I will look it up right now.
No, he hasn't.
He had his thing today.
His hearing.
Yeah.
So the bro code states, so Kadri hit, who did he hit?
I don't remember that. No.
Okay. Anyway, super dirty hit. Kadri's a repeat offender. He plays for the Colorado Avalanche, playing the St. Louis Blues, cross ice, and just thumps this guy head first. Game over. And so, because Kadri's a repeat offender, because he's and we talked about this last podcast, literally last podcast, episode 8, where we said Kadri is has cost his team.
Toronto was an exact example.
Because he's a good hockey player.
Yeah.
But he's so fucking dumb. Like, I just can't even. If he didn't have hockey, what would he have? You know, like, I asked that about a few players. I'm just like, geez, thank God they're so gifted in this one realm. Because without this one realm existing, these kids are homeless. Anyway, I don't want to insult.
No.
Kadri, even though I did in probably the worst way possible. All I'm saying is, God damn it, get a head on your shoulders. Stop hitting people from behind in the head. Stop slashing people in the neck. Like, stop it.
Because he is a talented player, and that's an actual fact. He's one of the players that he is the epitome of a rat. What Brad Marchand was, because he's now elevated his game. He's still a thorn in the side of a lot of players, but
he's so hated.
But he's taken his shit game of intentionally hurting people, intentionally licking people, and he's a little thorn in the sides and scores big goals and plays big hockey. Kadri could be that guy if he got his shit together. Now he's going to be facing a huge suspension here. So I hope it comes down to a point where he finally figures it out and becomes a better situation.
Yeah. And so he hit this guy from like in the head. And the only thing I could think of though, Clay, was this piece where how long is he going to get suspended? Tom Wilson's hit on Giancarlo early in the season, where he got the suspension, was so blatantly disrespectful of a human. It was just so bad. And so when we get worked up about Tom Wilson, then he does something maybe relatively minor and he tosses Panarin around. But I'm all fired up because he hit Giancarlo from behind, launched his massive frame, hit his head into a glass wall, and it was awful. Okay. And Giancarlo missed some games.
So we're going to move on from this series, and I want to talk about the Maple Leaf Montreal game tonight because we're talking about another agitator that did another thing. So, okay, PJ.
Hold on, do this wave. Do this. Hold on. Do this wave. Yeah, you seem a bit laggy.
You know why? Because that fucking thing is converting.
And you were laggy in your whole speech too.
In my whole speech?
So I just want to make sure everything's pretty clear from one end to the other.
Looks okay.
Now you look clear. Do a wave. Am I super delayed?
No, not at all. How many spiced rums do you have?
Are you sure?
Like, are you
sure?
Yeah, 100%.
Well, I just asked if I was delayed, and then you took 10 seconds to answer that question.
I had to think about it. I'm like, why are you asking this? Like, I'm clear here. I on the other side.
Don't think I'm the one off right now. You're the one that's off. Right, I'm the one that's good.
Listen, it's recording on my side, and it looks spectacular. So stop.
Cancel. Okay, well, it was a little bit laggy.
Are you okay?
Go. Yeah.
All right. Okay, PJ. So going into the Montreal-Toronto series, we have John Tavares that is carrying the puck out, gets put down on the ice with a decent hit. Then as he's laying on the ice, just as he goes down, Perry from Montreal comes through the play instantly, and his knee contacts his head. Then we don't see Tavares move at all. He's out. We've got medics out there. We've got everybody is literally scared. Like, this was an ugly, ugly scene. When I watched the replay, I got chills up my spine. Like, this was not for the faint-hearted at all. As scary as it was, I have to pose the question because we know what kind of player Perry is in the past. We know what he's done to other players. Did he drag his knee intentionally, or was this just a one-off play that happened to happen?
Easy answer.
Good.
But let me go through a couple things here.
Please.
Number one, well, let me just talk about this.
Okay.
A player that craves contact, like Corey Perry, will always go for contact. It's not as though they see all contact as bad. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be very careful here because I was one of those players.
Okay.
I needed to be hit hard before I felt like I was in a game.
Understood.
And
And a
so,
lot of people feel that.
right? And so Corey Perry is a contact-based player. So I think even if, and I didn't see any evidence of this, but even if he leaned towards Tavares, it wasn't to injure him. It was just bracing for contact, knowing you're going to get contact, knowing that there's collisions all day long. My favorite saying to this day is life is a contact sport. And so, man, that is much different than leading with the knee. There's no evidence of that in the video, nor from his reaction, nor from his reaction before the play or after the play.
Perfect. That's what I wanted to hear. So now here's my second question following up to that. Why, as soon as the puck dropped, did Perry have to fight? If that was not his intention, if that was accidental, why did Foligno feel as though that fight needed to happen with Corey Perry on the next whistle?
Man, there's some beauties in that fight. Like,
right?
Nick Foligno, captain of the Columbus Blue Jackets, like
Veteran
such a beauty.
player.
We talked about this previous podcast. Foligno, such a beauty. Perry, so hateable, such a beauty.
He's got a cup.
Oh man. Not only does he have a cup, but he is impactful. Like, he shouldn't be impactful at all right now.
He is, though.
Yeah. Can hardly skate, it looks like sometimes.
But still does his job
goal
well.
Scoring has dropped off exponentially, and yet we still talk about him all season. Even all season we talked about him. He is unreal. Anyway, this hit was totally accidental, coincidental, and I just hope Tavares is okay.
Yes, agreed.
Because he looked like a mess.
That was so, it was one of those situations where it was, man, I thought that seeing him on the ice, I was scared for the man. Like, I'm talking about a man that has a family, that has a life. Like, that was a scary scene, seeing him laying there. And I guess following that up, and I know that I went straight into the Corey Perry situation, and the reason why I did, because I wanted to lead you down that path to ask the question why the fight was necessary, why Foligno thought that, and was it Toronto, the Maple Leafs, thinking that question that I asked you?
Well, I mean, it's hard to argue because there's no code, right? So there's no code. But obviously Perry felt compelled because of some unwritten code that he had to take the fight.
His gloves were off before the puck even dropped.
Yeah,
Perry knew it was coming.
He knew. I mean, that's what's so cool, is that when you see some of this code stuff, even though it bothers the heck out of me, and I also really believe in the code, like I was a code player. But like there's got to be, like, it's just really cool because you see the pre-fight. Hey, I gotta ask you, you ready to go? Like, literally, it's that polite. It's not like, I'm gonna kill you, we're gonna fight. It's like, literally, hey, we're gonna have to throw down. Hey, it's part of the deal.
Okay, saying this now, I don't think I've mentioned this on the podcast before. So I am sitting there, and NHL Classics comes up on the TV, and it's 1984, Montreal versus the Quebec Nordiques. Now, you would have thought that this was a Thrasher movie. Blood everywhere. They had line brawls beyond line brawls beyond line brawls. It was like Slapshot in real life. 2 goalies were gone. It was nonstop. And then at the end of it, and it was a tied game going in. And I want to say Norris division, if I'm not mistaken. Adams division. Help me out here. Do you remember what we had? The Smythe division in the Canada West. The Canada East was the Norris or the Adams?
The Snorris, because the Adams and Patrick were the East.
That's right. Okay, so the Norris. So anyway, so they were in the Norris final of the Stanley Cup playoffs.
And man, you had Guy Lafleur out there. Like you had all of the big names and guys that are coaching now that are in this game. And it was epic to watch, but I was just like, I completely forgot how aggressive and how players were just vigilantes. And it was like puck drops, another line brawl happens. And then finally, when it's all said and done, Montreal goes on to score 4 goals and wins the series, right? It's just like, okay, so that happened.
Let's end on this part.
Yeah.
I will believe this to the end of days because I played a bit of that dirty hockey stuff and was undersized.
We grew up in the end of that era.
And was undersized is that you would never get a hit in the head. Why would you put yourself? And so I truly believe that we're just at a crux in the NHL where people don't know how to protect themselves, but we have the best, most powerful athletes trying to kill you. And that's a bad mix.
The league won't do anything. They won't allow enforcers to police their own game. And the pros, the all-stars, the elite are the ones that
I literally don't understand how people skate these days and get hit in the head. Keep your head tucked. Keep your head on a swivel. You've got crazy people after you wanting to take your head off. How the hell are you reaching out for a puck?
There's no retribution.
Tom Wilson is coming to kill you.
Because you know he's on the ice. Crazy? You know what team you're playing. Understand, Big 34 is right there waiting for 43, you to look.
But yes.
Reckoning. Awesome. Okay, let's move on to Tampa Bay, Florida. Let's do a quick Cole's notes on this series because this is definitely one of the most exciting series of the playoffs so far. The battle for Florida. Yeah.
By far.
So you got Kucherov, who's been injured for a decade, comes back in game 1 and dominates.
3 points. Right?
Dominates. He had a breakaway in the first period, fumbles the puck, and you're like, oh, he's a little rusty. And then goes ahead and gets 3 points in the game.
Like we talked about it last podcast.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it again. Kucherov's elite, like super elite. Beat Connor in a points race.
One time.
Handily.
One time.
Yeah, handily though.
Yeah. Well, Connor beat him 106 points to nothing this time.
Don't be so protective of Connor.
I can't help it. He's my buddy.
Fine.
He's my buddy. Yeah, I'm a
He's
super fan.
Fine.
Super fan.
But anyway, Kucherov lit it up. Braden Point lit it up.
Yeah.
Scored. And so at this point, because we're constantly changing our notes, but Tampa Bay is up 2-1 in that series. Florida won in overtime tonight.
Guy from Calgary, help me out. Bennett. He's back off the suspension.
For game 2, scored the first goal in game 3. Yeah, I mean, he should have been suspended. That hit was embarrassing.
That's another suspension. It's just like, okay, you guys, but obviously playoff suspensions are a lot lighter. So that one game would have been 5 games in the regular season.
Right.
So he got his 1 game worth of blood.
But Tom Wilson can roid rage.
Oh.
And there's not even a fine.
He's got his own rule book.
He's been fined the maximum already.
Yeah, we're fine.
We're not going to fine him again.
Okay, now let's go into the Oilers and the Jets. We saw game 1 last night here in Edmonton to an empty stadium.
Yeah.
It was a lackluster start. One of the top offensive teams in the league, the 2 top scoring players in the league, and Edmonton did not have a shot in the first 9 minutes of the game. The hits, as they state, were high from what actually happened. They said that when Winnipeg had 63 hits to 53 hits of Edmonton, which I don't remember seeing that many hits.
Sure.
Anyway, the aggressiveness wasn't there that we've seen in other series. There wasn't the whole, there wasn't the whole excitement going on in that game. So what do you see? What's going on?
Like bad game, right? Like entertainment wise, competitive wise, battling wise, hitting wise. If you look at all 8 series, because all 8 series now to this point, right now, you and I talking have 1 game minimum
Played
in each series.
Yeah.
The Edmonton Jets game was a snoozer.
compared to all other 7 games that were going
Like
on.
not even close.
Yeah, you're right. And we can't blame it on the fact that there was no fans in the stands. It was just like, was this your classic
Well, you can't
feeling
do it
out
because
game?
Toronto and Montreal had no fans either.
And that
Much better game.
and more penalties called.
Well, sure. But I mean, how are you going to call it penalty? Like literally, I'm not surprised that one ref said to the other ref, "Hey, I'm going to take tonight off. I'll be in the dressing room." Like it was a snoozer.
It was, but there was a lot let go. Like I know it's playoff hockey, and I get
Let
that the
go.
refs changed.
There was one trip on McDavid that was so egregious.
I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about the cross
that's
checks,
it.
the holdings, and there are definitely situations that were let go.
I told you. I said to
Even
you.
the high stick was a missed call. It should have been a 4-minute penalty because there was blood drawn. He had stitches on the bench. And it was a 2-minute call. It was like the refs completely didn't give a shit either.
I'm not going to waste this podcast on refs. I can tell you that much right now. Edmonton deserved to win, and they didn't.
Exactly.
Agreed?
Yes. It was a bounce of a puck. Both teams. It was a lucky bounce.
They didn't deserve to win.
Yeah, neither did Winnipeg.
Yeah. But the underdog's always going to win that game.
Yeah,
Are you kidding me?
You're not wrong. So, what else we got here, my friend? It looks like we're getting right down to the bittersweet end of our little podcast. Anything else you want to add here before we get going? We need to do picks for Saturday night.
Yeah. Why don't you pull out that? I'll talk about the Edmonton and Jets game again.
Okay, keep
It
going.
was super fun. Man, it's nice to have Edmonton in the playoffs again. Like that's a really weird feeling. I believe that they're going to come back better. I'm worried about Cassian.
In what context?
Well, I don't think from the basis of the Oilers Jets game there that we have a lot of fight back. Like, what a joke that. So number one, Puyarvi was probably our best forward.
He was.
But I disagree with that statement only because Archibald was our best forward.
Now that you say that, and watching Archibald was in every single corner,
Yeah.
he grinded it out. He was
Totally.
The guy is 5'10", 180 pounds. He is me with 2 inches.
Yeah.
Like-
but also some defined muscles.
Oh, and some actual skill with the puck.
Some God-given.
He's got the kid's heart, but way more skill.
That's what you should
way
have
more
said
skill.
at first. But anyway, I think Archibald was the best forward of the night.
You're right.
But I was texting, FaceTiming back and forth with a lot of people during that game. I had my jersey on, my hat on. They have to earn more garb, right? Like I have scarves and I have all kinds of things, but they haven't earned it. But that game to me is just not acceptable because there's no fight. And when I said in our last podcast, McLeod, 8 games, 2 hits.
Yeah.
He had a chance to bury a guy, get the puck in the offensive zone. Instead, he fished for the puck, didn't steal the puck, lost the battle, and I know I don't want to pick on McLeod. Like,
No, and it's totally fair because he's playing bottom 6 minutes right now. And when you look at the bottom 6 players that can actually come into that game, who are we going to put in? Right? Is Gaetan Haas a better hitter, forechecker player? Is who else is there? Neil is playing. Chason was playing. Who's in our bottom? Who's in our taxi squad that we would put in there?
and you're talking about a player that's got to pick it up, right? Like, and I'm not talking about McLeod right now, but I'm talking about Toronto Hyman. Even though he wasn't high
Hyman,
profile,
he's going to get
he
paid
wasn't
a lot,
high profile before.
but
But you're
gonna get
talking
paid.
about all of these people like Tanev,
Yeah. We have
for
to find those
Pittsburgh.
players.
Clutterbuck for the Islanders. Like, those guys are unbelievably valuable, scoring points. crushing people
2017
all day long.
Cassian.
And I can't even name, if you have Draisaitl and Connor on one line, I can't even name 11 forwards that would do that.
We don't. Cassian of 2017 was what we needed.
Something's wrong with him.
Big time. Even last year in the bubble, we saw it. And then all the way through the year, whether it's a mental thing, whether he's going through something else at home, who knows? But you know, there's something a little bit different going on with Cassian in upstairs, right?
So here's my plan.
Talk to me.
Let's get Connor suspended for 2 games. Let's get
good
him,
idea.
Let's get him. Let's get him to slash a couple people in the head.
Two-handers, like break sticks.
Yeah, just
over
two-handers in
fucking
the head.
ankles.
Bertuzzi style.
Not in the head though, because that's a lawsuit now. So just ankles.
Yeah, sure, whatever. Get
right.
himself suspended for a couple games, and then he's going to come back with a vengeance, win 4 in a row. Toronto doesn't stand a chance because I still think they're going to win that series.
Toronto's going to win the series. but
Montreal
they're going to
is
be beat up.
so awesome.
Yeah.
Like, with their New Jersey Devil type Minnesota.
They're going to grind
Just-
that series out.
just
That's going to go
grind it.
7. And they're going to be, Toronto's going to come out of that series injured and tired. And
When
beat up.
Biron scored that shorthander, I was in awe. Number 1, because he's never had those hands before. Number 2, how fast he is. He killed that defenseman. They basically started from the same point. Biron might have had a little more speed going on, but he killed that defenseman in that race.
I need to see that replay because the last I looked at that game, it was 1-1. And then I got home and it was 2-1 and the game was over.
Oh, yeah. Not a great game, but way meaner. Can we
There's
talk
a lot
about
more hate. There's some history there, though.
Can we talk about real quick the Pitt New York Islander series?
Bring it.
Because I have the notes, all 10.
All 10 notes.
All 10 players on the ice penalized in the box.
I was wondering what the note was with 10 on ice. I'm like, I don't know what you're
all
talking
10,
about.
baby.
So
And
what
this is
happened?
Crosby, Letang.
Explain to me. Explain to our listeners what happened.
Well, pretty much it was a line brawl with all gloves on. Like, it was like the top line versus the top line, which is kind of weird.
Yeah.
But it was great. They all went after each other. Crosby was trying to pull people off. It was so ridiculous, but all 5 of each team went in the box.
For 2 minutes for roughing.
Yeah.
Come on. That's
great.
So not coincidentals for 1 player each. We're throwing the whole first
Pittsburgh got an
lines on
extra
the
penalty.
ice.
Pittsburgh got an extra penalty for some Gensel slash on Palmer.
Some
like,
randomness.
anyway. But it should have just been all even. That's it. But it was great. All 10 players in the box. Best players on the ice.
What time of the
melee,
game?
gloves on the ice. And then we get that from Edmonton and the Jets.
Yeah.
Oh, such a joke.
I think you're going to see a lot more in the next.
I don't think so.
You don't
I
think so?
doubt it.
Okay, so I bet you
Okay.
shot of Jameson's.
Good. It's a good start.
It's a good start.
that we're going to see a more aggressive, a more intense battle tomorrow night in that game.
From who, Clay? Tell me specifically who.
All of them. All 22 players. Mike Smith is actually going to leave his crease and fucking two-hand somebody over the head.
That's the only comment that's made sense the whole show.
Because he's the one that has, he's got that old school shit in him. He's like, yeah.
Mike Smith is a beauty.
Yeah.
What I'm saying to
100%
you,
agree.
though, is I don't like from the bottom 10, because you have Connor.
I see
you have
Yamamoto
Leon.
fighting before Connor does.
Oh, yeah, but I don't want Connor to fight.
No, neither do I. But Yama will.
Yeah, for sure he will.
But you don't want him fighting either.
No, because he'll lose.
He'll get destroyed. He will be taken out in a body bag. There'll be ambulances and shit.
Yeah, it's frustrating because we don't really have that player. I think Cassian is literally on some mind-altering psychology.
Yeah. Do you see Holland looking at this? Obviously, this is a long series. We're at game 1. But Holland looks at this and says, okay, so we got through the regular season. We got into the playoffs. But now with my extra $22 million, I need to find those bottom 6 playoff players. I need to find the guys because it's not your top 6, unless you're McKinnon, that's going to be winning you these games. It's your bottom 6 that's going to be chipping in, which we haven't seen in years. If it's not our top 6 that are scoring, aka McDavid and Draisaitl, then nobody's scoring.
Which will be nice when we can prove everyone that hates us wrong.
Wow, that's what we always. Okay, moving on. We're making our picks for Saturday's parlay. PJ, remind us how we're doing with our parlay, please. Do you have those stats up?
Absolutely.
Attaboy.
So, Saturday, May 4th.
Oh, we chased. Spoiler alert.
We went 1-3 with our individual games. That means in our individual games, actually, we're 19-13. Can you believe we're 6 games over 500?
I think that's a great winning record.
But because of the juicy games we choose, we're actually down $375 again.
It's okay. We got some big games coming up here
For the week. So we're minus 69 for the year. Less than a unit. Minus 69 because I'm a child.
You are a child.
And so we're not doing too bad. Parlays 2-8. We lost $21 on our parlays because of our 2 wins. But also then again, we did well. It's in the textbook, I'm sure, of betting. The chase parlay.
Got to chase.
I'm pretty sure it says not to chase.
Oh, I thought it said to chase.
No.
Oh, I was reading that wrong.
Well, we've done that.
I thought
twice.
It said if you lose the afternoon game, you chase the night games. Isn't that the rule?
Anyway, we've ended up being 2-9, and we're only on $16 now because we parlayed our parlay.
You know what I found out that you can do right now on CoolBet? If you go to coolbet.net, that's coolbet.net, you can sign up yourself to get into these games and bet. But also, PJ, you can play craps online and watch a guy throw dice and bet on craps. Just saying.
Yeah, I don't know.
We could pretend that we're in Vegas. We could put them up on the screen.
Couldn't be worse.
Yell at each other.
Couldn't be worse than what I've really done to craps.
I won $23 the other night. Okay, so here are the games going in on Saturday night, playoff edition. We've got the first game, Panthers and Lightning. PJ, 12:30. That is Eastern. That's Jesus. 10:30 our time. We got a game we're going playing hockey all day long.
Let's go.
Panthers Lightning in Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay all day long.
Let's go. T-Bay.
Florida came back tonight. It was 5-3 deficit. They came back, tied it, and then won in overtime. They're warriors. They're just not as good as Tampa.
Who's their goaltender tonight? Just for
I don't
record.
know.
Was it their rookie?
I don't know. You keep on mentioning that, but Bobrovsky has been showing his.
No, Bobrovsky played the first game and then got benched. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And then Knight, their other rookie that they just drafted and just signed, they're like, maybe we should play him in the playoffs. It's like they're going a 3-goalie system. 2 of them are rookies. It's crazy. Okay, we're not worrying about that. That's another conversation. Pittsburgh Islanders. Pittsburgh up 2-1 in the series in Manhattan. It's on the island.
I'm going to tell you, this series is insane. Awesome. We picked Pittsburgh, though. I'm sticking with Pittsburgh. They've won 2 in a row. I think they're going to win 3 in a row.
Captain Crosby. Let's hit it.
He's hardly.
And also Carter has 4 points and 3 goals.
He scored 2 tonight.
Man. That guy just does nothing but score in the playoffs.
Game.
He does nothing but score in the playoffs. He did that with LA the whole time. And he was basically a throwaway from Philadelphia, if you remember that. He went Philadelphia to Columbus and said, I'm not playing for you. And then Columbus dealt him to LA. And LA's like, thank you. And won. Crazy.
Now he's in Pittsburgh. He's going to win again.
Oh, fuck. Well, all right. And then we've got Montreal, who's up on the Leafs. This is their...
Good for them.
Yeah, absolutely good for them. I'm so glad they won that game. Can we take them for this game? I want to take them for this game. This is a great juice game.
No,
Come on.
No.
Toronto?
You know what was fun about watching Toronto and Montreal?
Tell me.
Is because I was just cheering for goals because I hate them both so much. I'm like, yeah, punishing it. Like,
it's like a class in Eastern
on them all the time. I want this game to be just absolute gladiator battle.
1984.
It was pretty good. It wasn't as intense as the other series, but it was still crazy.
There's some heat.
There was some tension though. Like that Tavares thing was so ugly, man.
Hey, don't kid yourself. Those two cities in general hate each other, right? Like there's a definite hatred. Quebec, Ottawa, or Ontario, Toronto, Montreal. Like there is something going on between those cities beyond the teams themselves. So,
oh yeah.
Okay, Golden Knights and the Wild. Oh, we're going Toronto, right? Yes.
Yeah, Toronto. Okay. Let's go Toronto.
Knights Wild.
Vegas.
1-1 tied series going into Minnesota. That was a hard Vegas right off the bat.
I think Vegas is up 2-1 now. Refresh your page, boy.
No, because Minnesota won tonight.
Did they win tonight?
Yeah.
So they're up 2-1?
No, it's... Oh, you're right. The Knights are up 2-1. You're so smart. Oh, no, hold on a second. Okay.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, stop. You did this to me.
I asked you for an easily referenceable.
Okay, yes. The Golden Knights are up 2-1 and going into playing their 4th game in Minnesota.
Vegas is done. Minnesota's done.
Picking Vegas. So let's recap. Tampa Bay, Pittsburgh, Toronto, Vegas.
Good.
Yo, love it.
So
that's it, my friend.
Oh man, I felt like I was gonna just go off on some of this stuff.
Put it on the shelf.
Man,
I got lots on the shelf. It's my shelf page.
Well, thank you, everyone.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening to us ramble and bamble and get through another
3-hour podcast. Yes, this is going to be the longest podcast you'll ever hear.
No way. Your math is way off.
I'm so glad that he's still talking right now because he has no idea after I'm done all of this, it's going to be the longest podcast we have ever put out before.
I always offer help and you always say, no, PJ, don't touch the buttons.
Don't touch my buttons. Also, the new shirt, the real Bernstein, that will be the first PJ and Clay experience shirt, the real Bernstein. Mark it down. I'm getting that made up right away. Did you just dab? Don't ever dab as a 40-year-old ever again.
What do you mean? I'm 46. Bro.
Exactly. Love you to death. Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this show, thank God. I love you. We appreciate you. Please pass along to your friends. Check out the YouTube channel because all of the past episodes will be there. Subscribe to all of our podcasts on all of your podcast feeders from
Even
Apple
if you
to
don't
Spotify.
like it. Even if you don't like it, subscribe. What does that hurt? It hurts no one.
Hey, just subscribe. Be that guy.
Jeez, you don't have to ever exist after that. Just
You don't have to
subscribe
listen to it. You can delete
turn
it
off
after
your
that.
notifications. You're good.
Yeah, we'd appreciate that too. But if you want to play it in your background and then just put your phone down and go do something else for 2 hours or 3 hours, we'd appreciate that too. But what we would appreciate more is some more feedback because we've gotten some amazing feedback, some great friends, and some new followers are necessary. So if you found this stream, let us know where you found it. Hit us up. We've got some prizes to start giving out. The hats are on the way. Give us a follow at PJ and Clay on Twitter. This to my left is at 17P00J, myself at Captain Obvious with a 5. Thank you so very much. Enjoy your whole weekend. Enjoy playoff hockey. Ladies and gentlemen, we will talk to you next Thursday. PJ.
Let's go Pitt.
Let's go oil. Have a great weekend. Good night.
Good job, buddy.
Well
Are
done,
you
sir.
sure it's only 2 hours or 3 hours?
Yeah, we started at 9:30.
Yeah, but we took a break, right?
Your break was 7 minutes.
So yeah, we're 2 hours. You said we were 3 hours.
It felt like we were going 3 hours. Did we actually start at 9?
I think that was a good mix. You thought we were at 3 hours, which is way too long. I thought we were at 2 hours, but I'm like, we can't go much longer than that. We can.
Dude, we could do this all night long. And actually, for a charity stream, we could probably, if we get into that stupid bullshit.
A marathon cast.
They've got those subscriptions going on now with the podcast. So you can set it up so you have your regular podcast subscribers, but then you put a subscription on it and we do an after dark episode. So we just sit here and drink and talk for the next 2 hours and people have to pay to watch it. It's like, who would ever in their right mind pay to watch the debauchery?
Yeah, but as long as they gave to the charity or whatever.
Charity event. Then, yeah.
Right? It's very self-indulgent to think that we would do that for us.
God, there's no way in hell we would ever fucking do that.
It was funny because I was trying to attack Gregor. No, not Gregor. I was trying Nielsen because I just fundamentally don't like a lot of the things he says. But I also find him funny, and I also find that he's a hardworking guy. You know what I mean?
Hardworking guy. He puts a lot of time in.
So I don't ever want to discount that. But as soon as he talks about breaking cards,
Yeah.
or one of
He's
his,
getting paid though. Like, think about the amount of areas. The guy's a hustler. Getting paid by the network.
yeah, no,
getting
I
paid
get
by-
it. It's perfect.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear it,
No.
right? So I've stopped listening to him, and
My frustration. Here's my frustration. Us little guy podcasters are fighting a battle just to get listeners, and then you've got the celebrities, the talking heads that all now have their podcasts and all have their followers. And
But I think that he's made a really good decision, but he's also made a mistake, right? He focuses on breaking cards in football fantasy. And he and his little co-host, whatever his name is, Remchuk or whoever it is, Eric,
Lieutenant Eric. Yeah. See, and that's my guilty pleasure. I listen to that shit every morning.
No,
Every
well,
morning. I wake up at 6 and it's on my Alexa. I'm ready to rock and roll.
I did, and then I realized that, man, like his fandom for like Puyarvi, for example, and then he tweets it all the time, like Puyarvi was the best player, and all like.
It's a
and
shtick.
was I right? Was
It's
I
a
right about
shtick.
Puyarvi? Like, he's not. He is still questionably a top 6 forward on any other team. Questionably.
You know what? He won me 2 bets this year. He had
Because
13
he
goals.
scored how many goals?
13 goals.
And he was supposed to score 12?
8. That's an easy bet. And 22.
That
points
wasn't
he
an
got.
easy bet. Are you kidding me? That's a good bet. That's not easy.
Yeah, well, it was only $5, so it was a.
Well, I know,
Starbucks.
but my point is that he was hardest on the team, and
no, 100%. No, you're right. You're right.
And if he wasn't playing with Connor, who would he be playing with, and would he score?
Yeah. No, this was a magical season for him. Like, if you think about it, this was a great
I'll be right back.
So, ladies and gentlemen, during our post-podcast, this is where you're going to be hearing the music. As of right now, PJ has left the arena. He's now going and taking the tinkle. So we're going to talk about what is going on the TV right now. So we have myself, the beautiful hat that we have developed for the Oilers playoffs. It's your royal blue and orange insignia of the obvious network. And then we have PJ with the Pokemon in the back, right next to a beautiful city, New York, with a tower still standing. It is an excellent scenery. I still have to ask him how he has such great lighting in his posts. And if you're still listening, I applaud you, because there is no way in hell I would be listening to this garbage and bungle right now. And he's back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, PJ.
What is your bumbling and mumbling?
Oh, I was just rambling while you were gone. You had to fill the air. This is
What's
the post.
wrong with
This
you?
is the
We're
postcast
done.
cast.
The podcast is done.
The postcast cast.
Oh. What are you doing tomorrow? What do you mean the night leader doesn't close though?
I'll be cutting this from the podcast, by the way.
Yeah, we'll stop recording. Hit the stop record.
Can't, because then we're done.
You can hit stop record, but you can still talk.
No, it ends it.
No, it doesn't.
Does that not end it?
Well, where's the options?
End meeting for all, leave meeting. Oh, I guess maybe it's ended from there.
It's the
No, it's still
recording.
recording. Yeah.
Not
So-
the meeting. I swear to God, if I could punch through this.
Oh my God, there's a pause button, PJ. I didn't even see this up here in the top left. This is fucking genius.
Not really. Just expect it. Still learning. Stop the recording.